Most people spend their whole lives chasing money. But here's the truth. Money doesn't chase people. It chases value. You don't get paid for the hour. You get paid for the value you bring to the hour. See, if you want more, you've got to become more. Because wealth doesn't start in your wallet, it starts in your mind. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Build skills, build discipline, build character, and the money will find you. Remember this, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So if you want to live rich, don't chase money, build value. Let me tell you something I learned early in life. Money is a mirror. It reflects not your wishes, not your hopes, not even your hard work alone, but the value you bring to the marketplace. You see, the marketplace doesn't care how long you've worked or how many hours you put in. It cares about one thing, the results you deliver. That's why some people make $10 an hour while others make $10,000. The difference isn't in the clock, it's in the contribution. When I was young, I used to think if I just worked harder, things would get better. But I learned that's not always true. You can work 8 hours at minimum wage or 8 hours as a surgeon. Same hours, different value. The world doesn't pay you for effort, it pays you for effectiveness. The real secret is to shift your focus from time to value, to ask yourself not how long did I work, but how much did I contribute. That shift changes everything. Start by identifying where your work makes an impact. Maybe you help people feel better, save time, earn more, or live healthier. Find the connection between what you do and the value it creates. The clearer you are about that link, the easier it becomes to multiply it. Measure results, not hours. The man who increases his results without increasing his time becomes invaluable, and wealth follows value every time. And remember, your income seldom exceeds your personal development. If you want to earn more, learn more, read the books, attend the seminars, study the masters of your craft. Every skill you add expands your earning potential. Don't just show up to work, show up to grow. The person you become determines the value you bring, and the value you bring determines the wealth you attract. So if you want to change your income, don't fight the system, upgrade yourself. Become a person of greater worth, and the marketplace will take notice. Because money isn't chased, it's attracted. And it's attracted to value. When you understand that, you stop asking, why am I not getting paid more? And start asking, how can I become more valuable? That's where wealth begins. Not in the job, not in the hours, but in you. If you want to change what you have, you must first change who you are. The truth is simple. Income doesn't grow by chance, it grows by change. Every raise in your external world begins with a rise in your internal world. If you want to have more, you must become more. That's not just philosophy, that's the law of progress. Your income will never exceed your level of personal development for long. When I started out, I worked hard, long hours, low pay, and little progress. I thought success was about hustle, but then I realized hustle without growth just burns energy. It's like climbing faster on the wrong wall. The breakthrough came when I began working on myself more than I worked on my job. I studied people who had achieved what I wanted, not just what they did, but how they thought, how they spoke, how they made decisions. And I discovered that success isn't something you pursue, it's something you attract by the person you become. So, how do you become more valuable? You invest in yourself daily. Spend at least 30 minutes every day learning, reading, listening, studying, reflecting. Learn about people, money, communication, leadership, and creativity. because these are the currencies that never devalue. Read biographies of great thinkers and builders. Study those who started small and grew big. Then don't just consume the knowledge, apply one insight each day. Knowledge without application is like a seed never planted. The magic happens when you act on what you learn. And don't walk this journey alone. Seek mentors, people who've already traveled the path you're on. They shorten the learning curve, correct your course, and challenge your limits. Every successful person you meet is a library of wisdom waiting to be opened. Learn from their wins and their scars alike. Remember, life pays you for the value you deliver, and the value you deliver depends on the person you are. As you grow in character, skill, and discipline, the world opens doors you never saw before. Opportunities come not by luck, but by alignment. So, make personal growth your daily ritual. Study more, think deeper, and act wiser. The stronger you grow, the greater your capacity to serve. And when your capacity expands, your income naturally follows. Because wealth is not pursued, it's magnetized by growth. You can work 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, and still find yourself stuck in the same place. Why? Because activity doesn't equal achievement. So many people confuse movement with progress. But spinning your wheels doesn't move the car forward. Hard work is honorable, yes, but hard work without direction is wasted energy. The truth is, effort only matters when it's aimed wisely. Working smart isn't about doing less. It's about making sure what you do counts. When I first started, I thought success was a simple math equation. The more hours I worked, the more I'd earn. But after years of struggle, I realized something. I wasn't being paid for the hours. I was being paid for the value created in those hours. The wealthy don't work harder than everyone else. They just work smarter. They focus on leverage, activities that continue producing results even after they stop working. So, start by asking yourself, what are the 20% of things I do that create 80% of my results? It's the old Pareto principle, but it holds more truth than most people realize. Maybe that means focusing on key clients instead of every client, or spending time developing one skill that multiplies all others. Once you identify that 20%, guard it. Give it your best time, your best energy, your best focus, then automate or delegate the rest. You don't have to do everything yourself. The goal isn't to be busy, it's to be effective. Use systems and tools that multiply your reach, technology, organization, and people. Build processes that run even when you're resting. The rich don't trade all their hours for money. They build systems that free their time to create even more value. And here's something crucial. Review your progress weekly. Don't wait for the year to end before realizing you've been climbing the wrong ladder. Reflect regularly. What's working, what's not, and what needs to change. Efficiency isn't built overnight. It's built through awareness and adjustment. If you want to live rich, don't just work harder, think harder. Stop measuring effort and start measuring impact. The smart worker builds a life of leverage, freedom, and choice. Because in the end, it's not about how much energy you spend. It's about how much progress that energy creates. Work smart and let your results, not your exhaustion, define your success. There's a great difference between earning a living and creating wealth. Most people spend their lives working for money, but the wealthy make money work for them. See, earned income feeds you, it pays the bills, fills the fridge, and keeps the lights on. But assets free you. Assets are those quiet workers that never sleep, never complain, and never call in sick. They work for you day and night, multiplying your efforts long after you've put the tools down for the day. When I was young and broke, I thought the answer was to earn more money. So I worked harder, took on extra jobs, and pushed myself to exhaustion. But at the end of each month, I was still left with the same problem. All my money was gone because I was only thinking in terms of income, not wealth. Then I learned the difference. The rich don't just earn, they build. They build systems, they build investments, they build something that continues to pay them whether they're awake or asleep. So how do you start? First, make saving and investing non-negotiable. Before you spend $1, decide that 30% of it belongs to your future. That's not leftover money, that's sacred money, the seed that builds your freedom. Use that seed to acquire assets, not liabilities. Learn about real estate, stocks, or digital assets, whatever speaks to your understanding. Don't chase trends, build knowledge, study until you can explain your investments in simple terms. If you can't explain it, you shouldn't invest in it. Next, once you start earning returns, don't rush to spend them, reinvest. Let compounding become your greatest ally. The magic of compounding is that time multiplies what discipline begins. A small amount, invested wisely and consistently, becomes a mountain over years. But remember, compounding only works if you stay patient and consistent. And one more thing, never depend on a single stream of income. One job, one paycheck, one client, that's risk disguised as comfort. Build multiple streams. Let your assets work in different corners of the marketplace so that if one slows, others still flow. You can work for money for a while, but the goal is to make money start working for you. When that shift happens, when your assets begin to feed your life, that's when freedom begins. Because true wealth isn't having more, it's needing less work to live the life you choose. Money is a fascinating servant, obedient, loyal, and capable of incredible things, but it's a terrible master. If you don't tell it what to do, it'll find its own way to disappear. Most people never learn to manage money. Instead, they let money manage them. They wake up, work hard, get paid, and somehow still end up wondering where it all went. But remember this truth. Money must be taught who's in charge. It must be given orders, direction, and discipline. Because money, like a student, behaves according to the principles you teach it. When I first started earning a little more, I made the mistake of thinking I had arrived. I didn't plan, I didn't direct, and just as quickly as it came, it went. Then I learned something simple yet powerful. Control money before it controls you. From that day on, every dollar had a job. Some went to living, some to giving, some to saving, and some to investing. That's how I came to follow what I call the 70/30 rule. Live on 70% of what you earn. Give 10% to causes that matter. It keeps your heart open and your perspective balanced. Save 10% because life will test your readiness. And invest 10% because your future deserves more than leftovers. Once you start doing this, something miraculous happens. You begin to feel in control. You stop being a victim of money and start being its teacher. You tell it where to go, what to do, and what to build. And the more you teach it discipline, the more disciplined it becomes in return. I recommend tracking every expense for 30 days. Don't guess where your money goes. Know it. Awareness creates change, and change creates control. Build systems that keep your money working toward goals, not distractions. Automate savings and investments so consistency becomes effortless. Remember, money is energy, neutral, and obedient. It doesn't care whether you waste it or grow it. It just follows your command. But when you learn to command it wisely, to direct it with vision, gratitude, and purpose, money becomes more than a tool. It becomes a reflection of your discipline and clarity. Never bow to money. Never chase it. Train it. Teach it. Lead it. Because when money learns to serve you instead of rule you, that's when you truly begin to live rich. Not just in wealth, but in wisdom, peace, and freedom. Money doesn't flow in isolation. It moves through people, through trust, through connections. Every great opportunity, every major breakthrough, every doorway to wealth I've ever walked through had a person standing on the other side, opening it. You see, money itself is not the true source of wealth. Relationships are. The right relationships multiply your ideas, expand your influence, and open opportunities that no amount of hard work alone could ever create. But relationships, much like wealth, are built, not found. And they are built on authenticity, not agenda. Too many people network with their hands out instead of their hearts open. They walk into rooms trying to take instead of give. That's not how wealth works. The secret is to serve before you seek. Offer value before asking for anything in return. When you help someone reach their goal, you automatically move closer to your own. Because when you pour into people, the universe has a way of pouring back into you, often multiplied. In my early years, I made a promise to myself that I would never go to a meeting or event without contributing something. Sometimes it was an idea, sometimes encouragement, sometimes a helping hand. But I learned this truth early. If you show up as a giver, you will never be forgotten. So attend growth and business events, not just to collect contacts, but to build connections. Listen more than you talk. Be curious about others' goals. People remember how you made them feel far more than what you said. And when you meet someone who inspires or challenges you, follow up. Most people never do. Fortune truly lives in the follow-up. A note, a message, a small gesture, it keeps the relationship alive. Over time, those small efforts compound just like money. They grow into trust, partnerships, and opportunities that money alone could never buy. Remember, relationships are the bridges across which wealth travels. You can be brilliant, skilled, and driven, but without connection, you'll find your world small and your opportunities limited. So build your network with integrity. Build it with consistency. Build it with the intention to contribute more than you consume. Because the truth is, money follows value, and value flows through people. If you learn to invest in people, you'll never run out of wealth. The more people you help rise, the higher you will climb. Discipline, it's the quiet architect of every great fortune. While most people chase excitement, the wealthy chase consistency. Because in the end, success doesn't come from one big leap. It's born from small, deliberate steps repeated every single day. Discipline is what separates the dreamers from the doers, the hopeful from the accomplished. You see, we all suffer one of two pains in life, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is, discipline weighs ounces, while regret weighs tons. I've seen people with brilliant ideas, powerful ambition, and incredible talent, but they lacked discipline. They started strong and faded fast. Why? Because emotion is temporary, but discipline is eternal. Discipline means doing what must be done even when you don't feel like it. It means saving when it's easier to spend, studying when it's easier to scroll, investing when it's tempting to consume. Wealthy people don't live by impulse, they live by intention. I remember early in my career, there were days I wanted to quit reading, quit saving, quit planning. It felt slow, repetitive, ordinary. But I realized something profound. What feels ordinary now becomes extraordinary later. Each book added to my understanding. Each dollar saved became a seed for freedom. Each act of consistency compounded into results that changed my life. That's the beauty of discipline. It's invisible in the beginning, undeniable in the end. To build wealth, you don't need to move mountains. Just carry one small stone every day. Maintain a consistent learning and saving routine. Don't let distractions rob your focus, because every distraction has a price, and that price is progress. Celebrate the small wins. Another day you kept your word. Another week you stuck to your plan. Because consistency creates confidence, and confidence attracts success. Most people wait for motivation, but the wealthy understand that discipline creates motivation. When you act consistently, your mind aligns, your habits strengthen, and your results begin to reinforce your belief. Before long, what was once difficult becomes natural. You begin to trust yourself, and that trust becomes the foundation of wealth. So remember, wealth doesn't respond to wishes, it responds to discipline. Don't chase the feeling of progress, build a habit of progress. Let your daily actions, however small, serve as investments in your future. One day, you'll look back and realize the bridge between who you were and who you became was built one disciplined step at a time. When most people hear the word rich, they picture cars, mansions, and luxury. But real wealth has very little to do with what you see. It's about what you feel. True wealth is not luxury, it's liberty. It's waking up when you're done sleeping, not when the alarm demands it. It's choosing projects that inspire you, not ones that simply pay you. It's the ability to say no when most people are trapped saying yes. The wealthy don't live rich to impress. They live rich to express. To live life fully on their own terms. There was a time I thought rich meant more things, more clothes, more gadgets, more everything. But the more I acquired, the heavier I felt, the bills, the maintenance, the constant need to protect the image. It was exhausting. Then I learned something crucial. Possessions promise comfort but often steal peace. So I shifted my definition of wealth. I stopped asking, how much can I buy? And started asking, how free can I become? That's when the game changed. Freedom became my measure of success. You see, anyone can look rich. It takes wisdom to live rich. Living rich means choosing experiences over possessions, because experiences feed the soul, while possessions fade into the background. The joy of a moment shared, the growth from a challenge faced, the peace of time well spent, those are treasures no one can repossess. The rich don't buy things to impress others. They invest in things that express who they are. To live rich, build a lifestyle that costs less than you earn. Simplicity is power. When your needs are small, your choices are big. When your expenses are low, most people reverse this. They stretch their lifestyle to match their income, and in doing so, they trade their liberty for labels. Wealthy people understand if your lifestyle grows faster than your wisdom, your freedom shrinks faster than your fortune. And finally, pursue peace, not approval. Many are broke not because they lack money, but because they spend their lives trying to impress people who aren't even watching. Approval is fleeting, peace is priceless. When you no longer chase validation, you attract abundance. So, live rich, not in luxury, but in liberty. Let freedom be your finest possession, peace your greatest investment, and purpose your ultimate profit. Because when you master that, you'll realize that living rich has never been about how much you have, it's about how fully you live. Every dollar you earn carries potential. It's a little worker waiting for a job. The tragedy is that most people let their dollars stay unemployed. They sit in wallets, sleep in checking accounts, or disappear through impulsive spending. But the wealthy think differently. They treat every dollar as an employee. Each one has a mission, a purpose, and a goal. And the job of a wise person is to make sure those dollars are out there working, multiplying, and bringing back more value than when they left. When I first started learning about money, I didn't have much to manage. But that was the point. If you can't manage a little, you'll never manage a lot. I remember telling myself, if every dollar is a worker, then my wealth depends on how well I train and deploy my team. Some people send their dollars out to buy toys, comfort, or status. Others send them to work, to build businesses, to earn interest, to grow in value. Over time, you can guess who ends up free and who ends up stuck. See, the goal isn't just to make money, it's to make money work for you. That's the quiet power of investing. Whether it's real estate, stocks, or your own business, every investment is like planting a tree. The sooner you plant, the sooner you get shade. But you must be patient and wise. Don't throw your money into something you don't understand. Train it, guide it, track it. Ask your money, where are you? What are you doing for me? Because if your dollars aren't working, you will have to set up automatic investments so the discipline happens without emotion. Reinvest your profits instead of spending them. That's how compounding turns small beginnings into great fortunes. Think about it. $1 invested wisely can become 10, 50, even 100 over time. But a dollar spent is gone forever, forgotten in moments. The wealthy never waste their soldiers. They deploy them strategically. And here's the best part. As your dollars begin to work for you, your time becomes freer. You're no longer trading hours for income. Your money is earning while you rest, while you travel, while you live. That's when you start to experience real financial freedom. So, treat your money with purpose. Don't let it sleep. Don't let it wander. Give every dollar a task, a mission, a goal. Because when you learn to turn your money into workers, one day you'll wake up and realize your money doesn't just earn for you, it works harder than you ever could. It's not how much you make that determines your wealth. It's how much you keep and how well you protect it. So many people are busy chasing the next opportunity, the next deal, the next investment, and they forget the fundamental rule of wealth. Protection comes before expansion. What good is it to build a fortune if you can't keep it? What's the use of working years to climb the financial ladder only to find it leaning against a wall that can't hold you? I learned early on that wealth, like a garden, requires more than planting and watering. It needs fences. You don't plant roses and leave the gate open for the rabbits. And yet that's what many do with their money. They leave it exposed to poor decisions, emotional investments, overspending, and blind optimism. Protection isn't fear, it's wisdom. The wise are not just dreamers, they are guardians of their dreams. Start by creating a financial cushion. An emergency fund isn't just money sitting idle, it's your peace of mind. When life throws you surprises, and it will, your emergency fund stands between you and panic. It gives you control when circumstances try to take it away. Next, ensure what matters: your income, your health, your home. These are the pillars that support your financial structure. Insurance doesn't make you rich, but it prevents you from becoming poor overnight. Then, learn to diversify. Never put all your eggs in one basket. And if you do, watch that basket carefully. Spread your investments across assets that balance risk and return. Don't chase quick profits or emotional hunches. When emotions rise, wisdom falls. Stay calm, stay rational, stay informed. Wealth grows in quiet confidence, not in the noise of speculation. I've seen people lose fortunes not because they didn't earn enough, but because they didn't protect what they earned. They lived without financial awareness, without boundaries, without discipline. The rich think differently. They play defense as well as offense. They protect their capital before seeking more. They build walls before towers. And because of that, when storms come, and they always come, their wealth stands strong, while others start again from zero. So before you seek to expand your wealth, make sure you've built the fortress around it. Save before you spend. Insure before you invest. Plan before you grow. The goal is not just to make money, but to make it last, to keep it, to protect it, and to multiply it safely. Because wealth that is guarded with wisdom becomes the foundation for freedom, not just for today, but for every tomorrow to come. Wealthy people treat money like a living system, constantly moving, breathing, circulating. The poor often see money as something that comes and goes without control. But the rich understand that cash flow is a game, and like any game, it has rules. You must study how money moves, how it flows in, how it flows out, and most importantly, how to direct that flow with purpose. Because when you understand your cash flow, you no longer live by chance, you live by design. When I first started learning about wealth, I realized that most people have no idea where their money goes. They can tell you how much they earn, but not where it disappears. They work hard, get their paycheck, pay the bills, and wonder why nothing's left. The answer isn't in working harder, it's in becoming more aware. Awareness is the first step to control, and control is the foundation of freedom. So, begin by tracking every dollar for 90 days. It's not glamorous, but it's revealing. Write down every expense, the coffee, the impulse purchase, the subscriptions you forgot you had. You'll start to see patterns where your money leaks, where it's wasted, where it could be redirected to build wealth. You can't master what you don't measure. Once you see the flow, you can guide it. Next, focus on building multiple inflows of cash. Never rely on a single stream, because if that stream dries up, so does your stability. Build side businesses, investments, or skills that generate money even when you're not working. The wealthy play offense and defense simultaneously. They earn, protect, and reinvest. And that's the next key. Reinvest a portion of every gain. Don't let your money sit idle. Give it a job. Send it to work in a business, a stock, a property, or even in your own development. When you earn $100, decide where every dollar goes before it decides for you. Some dollars should go to security, some to growth, some to generosity. Every dollar must have a mission. Cash flow mastery is not about greed, it's about stewardship. It's the art of directing your financial energy toward purpose and growth. You're not trying to hoard, you're trying to harness. You're not trying to chase, you're trying to control. The moment you understand how money moves, you begin to move differently yourself. You stop being the servant of your paycheck and start becoming the architect of your prosperity. So remember, wealth is not just about income, it's about flow. Money must circulate with direction and intention. Learn to master the movement. And soon, you'll realize that cash flow isn't just about numbers. It's about freedom, choices, and the power to build a life that works while you rest. One of the greatest shifts in mindset you can ever make is the shift from consumer to creator. Most people spend their entire lives consuming. They buy the product, the subscription, the entertainment, the lifestyle, but very few stop to ask, who's getting rich from this? Every product you buy, every click you make, every comfort you indulge in makes someone else wealthier. The question is, when will you step to the other side of the equation? When will you stop being the customer and start being the creator? You see, the rich understand something the average person doesn't. Money flows to the creators of value. It flows to the problem solvers, the innovators, the builders. Consumers feed the system, creators design it. And the beauty of this truth is that anyone can cross that line. You don't have to be a genius or a millionaire or born into privilege. You just have to start thinking differently about your role in the marketplace. I remember when I first learned this lesson. I used to buy motivational tapes, books, seminars, anything that promised a better future. One day, I realized that the people selling those things weren't necessarily smarter than me. They were simply the ones bold enough to create something of value. So, I stopped only listening and started contributing. I began to build, to write, to speak, to serve, and that shift from consumption to creation changed everything. To become a creator, start by solving a problem. Look around you. Every frustration is an opportunity in disguise. The world pays handsomely for those who make life easier, faster, or more enjoyable. Maybe it's a product, maybe a course, maybe a piece of art or a digital tool. The form doesn't matter, the value does. Turn what you know, what you've experienced, into something that helps someone else. Next, turn your knowledge into assets. Don't just learn, teach. Don't just read, write. Don't just use technology, build with it. Every skill you possess can become a source of income if you learn to package it with purpose. You might start small, an ebook, an online course, a consulting service, but what matters is that you move from consuming what others create to creating what others consume. And finally, monetize your creativity, not your comfort. The comfort zone is the enemy of wealth. Every great creator once faced fear, doubt, and risk, but they pushed through and earned the right to live rich. You can't build wealth watching others succeed. You build it by offering the world something worth paying for. So remember this, consumers fill the pockets of creators. Every time you spend, you're voting for someone else's dream. It's time to cast a vote for your own. Be the creator, not the consumer. Because when you produce value, money follows naturally, and freedom follows money. Most people make wealth far too complicated. They chase the newest trend, the next big opportunity, the magic investment that promises overnight success. And in doing so, they lose sight of the simple, timeless principles that actually create lasting prosperity. Complexity is seductive because it feels intelligent. But wealth doesn't reward confusion, it rewards clarity. Simplicity, my friends, is not weakness, it's mastery. The richest minds I've met didn't have the most complex systems. They had the cleanest ones. You see, the goal is not to do everything, it's to do the right things consistently. Wealth is built not by scattered effort, but by focused execution. I've seen people work themselves to exhaustion, juggling 10 different ventures, and at the end of the year, they wonder why nothing grew. It's because complexity steals focus, and focus is the engine of results. When you simplify your finances, your goals, your routines, you give your mind the space to think and your money the order to grow. I remember when I was first learning how to manage money. I had books, papers, plans, and charts, all scattered. Then one day, I realized I didn't need 50 pages of strategy. I needed one clear page of direction. So I wrote it out, what I earn, what I save, what I invest, and what I protect. That one page became the foundation of financial peace. It reminded me that wealth isn't about how complicated your system looks. It's about how faithfully you live by it. Simplicity also gives you power over emotion. When the market rises or falls, when opportunity seems uncertain, the person with a simple system doesn't panic. Why? Because their foundation is clear. They know where their money goes, why it's there, and what it's meant to do. Simplicity is confidence. It's control. It's freedom from financial chaos disguised as sophistication. Start by focusing on essentials: income, investment, protection, and growth. Automate what you can. Your savings, your investments, your reviews. Don't rely on willpower. Build systems that run even on your worst day. Create one simple plan that fits on a page. If it doesn't fit on one page, it's too complicated. And then cut out the noise. The world will constantly tempt you with distractions. The next big stock, the fastest path to riches, the latest shiny object. But the truth is, those who chase trends rarely catch wealth. The rich stay steady, consistent, and simple. They know that complexity drains energy, while simplicity multiplies it. So simplify your financial life. Simplify your goals. Simplify your habits. Because in the end, wealth is not built by doing more, it's built by doing less, better. The secret to living rich isn't in adding layers, but in removing everything that doesn't matter. Keep it simple, and you'll find that simplicity, done right, compounds into abundance. True wealth doesn't shout, it whispers. The greatest fortunes I've ever seen weren't flaunted with noise or glitter. They were lived out with grace, humility, and quiet confidence. Somewhere along the way, the world began confusing wealth with attention and success with validation. But wealth isn't about applause, it's about alignment. When your money serves your values, when your lifestyle reflects wisdom instead of vanity, that's when you start to experience what it truly means to be rich. See, the problem isn't that people want nice things. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the fruits of your labor. The problem is when those things begin to own you. When your worth depends on what others think you're worth. When you start spending to prove instead of spending to provide. Real wealth is invisible because it doesn't need to prove anything. It's the peace that comes from knowing your bills are paid, your future is secure, and your heart is free to give. I've met people with expensive cars but empty bank accounts, and others who drive modestly but sleep soundly. Guess which one is rich? The secret is not in what you buy, it's in what you keep, and even more, in what you become. A wealthy mindset knows that money is not a costume for ego, it's a tool for impact. So keep your lifestyle simple and your generosity strong. The fewer things you need to impress people, the more energy you have to express purpose. Avoid lifestyle inflation, that trap where your expenses grow as fast as your income. Let your assets buy your luxuries, not your emotions. Be wise with your spending, thoughtful with your investments, and intentional with your giving. There's a quiet power in being underestimated, in letting others see only a fraction of your capability while you build empires in silence. That's how stability is formed. And once you've built it, give boldly. Not just money, give wisdom, time, and encouragement. Because generosity is the final stage of wealth. You haven't truly mastered money until you can let it flow through you without fear. Supporting causes that reflect your values turns wealth from something personal into something eternal. So don't chase visibility, chase value. Don't aim to look rich. Aim to be rich in spirit, in impact, in contribution. Let your life speak louder than your possessions, because the quietest wealth is the kind that endures, and the loudest generosity is the kind that changes lives. Build silently, spend wisely, give boldly, and watch how abundance multiplies not only in your account, but in your soul. As I bring this message to a close, I want to remind you, wealth isn't something you chase, it's something you attract by the kind of person you become. Money follows value, and value begins within you. The world pays you not for what you wish for, but for what you become worthy of receiving. So the real journey to financial freedom starts not with a paycheck, but with a mindset. A mindset of growth, of discipline, and of purpose. Most people spend their lives waiting for opportunity, hoping for luck, or envying others who seem to have it all. But here's the truth. Success doesn't respond to hope, it responds to habit. You don't rise to the level of your dreams, you fall to the level of your disciplines. And if you want to change your financial future, you must first change your daily behavior. It's what you do quietly, consistently, and intentionally that builds the foundation of abundance. The rich don't simply work harder, they work smarter, and they think longer. They study, they plan, they invest, and they keep learning even when the world stops paying attention. They understand that every dollar has a destiny and every habit has a harvest. They know that wealth isn't built in a weekend. It's built through patience, persistence, and purpose. And the beautiful thing about wealth is that it's not reserved for a few. It's available to anyone willing to pay the price of discipline, consistency, and personal growth. So as you leave here today, don't just be inspired, be decided. Decide that from this moment on, your life will no longer be an experiment of chance, but a plan of intention. Decide that you'll read the books, master your craft, study your finances, and treat every opportunity as sacred. Decide that you'll no longer trade time for money, but instead build value that multiplies even while you rest. Remember, success isn't something you pursue, it's something you attract by the person you become. If you become valuable enough, opportunities will start chasing you. If you discipline yourself enough, money will start working for you. And if you live with purpose, peace, and principle, wealth will not only visit you, it will stay. Don't settle for survival when you were designed for significance. Don't wait for the economy to change. You change, and the economy will start responding. Don't hope for less problems, build more skills. Because the moment you grow beyond your current circumstances, life has no choice but to expand with you. So here's your call to action. Invest in yourself daily. Turn your knowledge into leverage, your effort into systems, your relationships into opportunities. Guard your time, grow your value, and give generously. Be the kind of person whose presence brings confidence, whose word carries weight, and whose life becomes a testimony that discipline, gratitude, and growth can turn anyone from any background into a person of influence and abundance. And when you reach that point where money no longer defines you, but serves you, that's when you'll know you've truly lived rich, not just in wealth, but in wisdom, purpose, and peace. Because in the end, success is not about what you get, it's about what you become.